Happy New Year, Matt. How's it going over there?
Hey Dan, I'm doing great. How about
You,
you?
good. You look relaxed. Were you off work for a while?
Can you tell? I haven't shaved in over a week.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's been good.
impressive. 7 days stubble, huh?
Yeah, 7 days stubble. Good for a harker, but I
Yeah.
have been accused of looking like a 12-year-old Hutterite.
Oh, okay.
For
That's an Amish for people not from Canada,
that's
right?
that's right. It's
Yeah.
like the Amish.
So,
And
what'd you do over the weekend?
oh, we went to our in-laws' place in Tabor and had a lot of good food. We had what my mother-in-law called Super Saturday, where literally, Dan, every hour was scheduled. So we started with breakfast at 7:30, and then we went out and skated at a rink, and then we played hockey, and then we went and we had lunch at this restaurant, roast beef dinner, and then we did a family picture, and then we went swimming, and then we went and played Nerf gun darts in the church gym. And then what did we do after that? We did a couple other things, and then we had pizza lunch, and then we went and we saw Aquaman. So the day was
Cool.
crazy. Yeah, like 12 hours of Christmas is what we had. We actually
So,
wrote the song.
that's all in one day?
That's all in one day. It was crazy.
That's a lot different from our family. It's like we wake up at 10 in the
Yeah,
morning,
and we're like,
maybe have
anybody
some
want some
cereal.
breakfast?
Yeah.
Hey, who wants to play a board game?
Maybe in an hour I have to go rest.
That's right.
What did you think of Aquaman?
You know what? I really liked it. There was a lot more cheese than I was expecting because I'd read some of the reviews and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a great movie. Oh, it makes me believe in DC now, and oh, it's competing with Marvel." But man, there was just so much cheese. Have you seen it yet?
No, no, I'm not the biggest superhero movie fan, but
Yeah.
it
Well,
is
there's no horses,
okay.
but
Well, is it a
s-
movie that could have horses if it was above water?
they had seahorses.
I knew it.
For our listeners, we mentioned this before, but Dan hates any movie with horses in it. It just means it's going to be a bad movie.
Well, I was trying to think about it. I was like, how can I tell if there's a movie that I don't like?
Yeah.
And then it came down to the French horns in the background and the horses. I'm like, if it has one of those two things, I'm not into it,
I'm
right?
not into it, whereas I love them. So this movie did have seahorses, but super action packed. Absolutely loved the action. I love the mythology of Atlantis, and there were a few things where I was like, the Sahara Desert's been around a whole lot longer than 1,000 years. It's not a sunken civilization. Spoilers. But anyways, other than a few silly things like that, and some of the cheese, like Jason Momoa is Aquaman, and he does a lot of like the Rock over the shoulder smolder, like. I'm like, dude, stop it with the over the shoulder smolder. It's just it was distracting and painful. But other than that, it was a great movie. I give it a solid 6.8 out of 10.
Okay, he was pretty funny on Saturday Night Live. Did you catch that episode?
I didn't. No,
No,
I
he's pretty.
haven't watched Saturday Night Live very religiously since I cut cable, and I'm sure they put everything on YouTube now. But
Oh, and I can't wait to talk to you about that cable cutting. We have a lot to talk about this week about it.
we
Now,
do.
as far as gifts go, did you get anything technology related?
Yes.
What did you get?
I asked Santa Claus to bring me an NVIDIA Shield, and
Whoa.
yeah, so NVIDIA Shield is the top ranked Android TV box. And they what's great about them is they have constant updates. So imagine you've got your cell phone. So Dan, you've got an iPhone. And that's
Yeah.
one of the great things about iPhone. As soon as there's a new version of iOS, it's out there and everybody gets it. And NVIDIA Shield is kind of that way. I don't want to call it an iPhone because by no means is it iOS. It's Android and it's Android TV, but their updates come seamless and quick. Whereas I've had an Android box before. It was Minix. They're a company out of China, and it was a good box when I bought it. It was cheap. I think I paid $75 for it.
Well, you have the box so you can do things like Cody and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, I've got Cody. Actually, I haven't put Cody on this one yet. I put one on there called Movie Flicks. It's replaced Showbox. Showbox recently was taken down by Hollywood, and
Of
so all,
course.
all the servers seized. So there's a whole bunch of new ones out there that have all replaced it, of course. Everybody's looking for it. And it's kind of like Netflix for torrents. And so it's got a really easy UI or GUI so you can understand where you're going. It looks just like Netflix, but for all kinds of movies and TV shows.
What's the name of it again?
Movie Flicks, I
Movie
believe, is the
Flicks.
one I'm using. But there's like a dozen clones. They probably all, I guarantee they all use the same torrents. And you can use Real Debrid, which is, I probably pronounced that wrong, but it's a service that you can subscribe to that actually gives you access to the best downloads, highest quality, fastest. But if you really don't care, like me, and I'm trying to save a buck, then I really only have it when something I really want to see isn't on Netflix.
So I have so many questions about this NVIDIA Shield. Number one, how big is it? Can you hide it behind your TV?
Oh yeah, it's tiny. Tiny, tiny, tiny. So the original NVIDIA Shield was a little bit bigger. I'm trying to decide how I could describe it, but the new
Like an
one is,
alarm clock size or?
yeah, the new one's a little alarm clock size. I'd say it's twice the size of my cell phone. So, and I've got the 9 here, so the
Fancy.
Galaxy S9 Plus. So I would say it's probably 3 times as thick and twice as long, but just about this wide. Like it's probably 6 inches, 6
Okay.
inches by 2 inches roughly. So it's small, it's tiny. Like
Where
it's
do you put it? Could you like tape it on the back of your screen so nobody would see it underneath hanging or?
Oh yeah, you could literally tape it behind your TV if there's enough room back there. I mean, just like a Chromecast. Chromecasts are tiny, so are Roku's. This isn't quite
Yeah.
that tiny, but it's still pretty good. You've got all kinds of USB ports on it, so you can plug in external hard drives. You've got like you could do your internet directly into it with Cat5. So and it also has all the wireless functions too, and it's a Chromecast.
Oh,
So
so you can cast from your phone or from your
yep.
laptop?
It is a Chromecast, so it's virtually created my current Chromecast useless because I don't need to, and it's got a built-in Google Assistant. So it's just like having a Google Home, a TV box, and a Chromecast all mixed into one.
Oh, that's
It
pretty good.
it is pretty.
Okay, I have a few more questions. Number one, about Chromecast. Have you tried to stream your laptop onto your TV through the NVIDIA Shield? And is it only what's on your Chrome web browser, or can you do can you share your whole screen?
So I have, but it's been a long time since I've streamed to the Chromecast. Probably a couple of years when I first got it. So yes, you can. Anything that you've got in your Chrome browser, you can stream. And I believe there are third-party apps that you can install. Either I have a Mac, but I believe there are even more available on PCs that allow you to stream anything that's on your computer as if you were actually like mirroring it onto your
Sure.
Chromecast. So yeah, you can do that. I do know that just recently Google's trying to stop that, so they're no longer supporting a plugin to stream from Chrome browser. I may be wrong. I just saw the headline. I didn't read it, but it sounds like they're not going to support that function. But it doesn't mean you won't be able to get third-party apps that will be able to do that function.
Okay, the other question I have is, do you have access to Amazon Prime, YouTube, Netflix, Hulu,
All of it.
Showtime, all of it?
Plex. So something that people use a lot is Plex, which
Hmm.
is a replacement for live TV. And I haven't really gotten into Plex. It looks really neat, but you still subscribe. So, it's just one more subscription. And if I subscribe to Netflix and Hulu and Prime and Plex and Sling and, all the other options, I might as well have just stayed with cable. and
Yeah.
and it takes a little bit of fiddling around to get it all set up. Now, Netflix is easy, Amazon Prime is easy, Hulu is easy to install. So Um, it doesn't take a lot to get those set up, but if you want to get into streaming torrents and things like that, so Kodi is quite complex, and
Hmm.
there's lots of different builds you can download. I mean, we could do an entire string of podcasts just talking about Kodi and
Oh man.
how to set it up and which builds are the best and which add-ons are the best, but they constantly get taken down, and that's why a lot of people like Real Debrid or Debid. Anyways, they like that service, which people actually are paid money to get the best torrents and set up beautiful servers super fast, and they've got them all over the world. And apparently, it makes it seamless and super easy. I just don't want to pay for that because personally, 99.9% of the time, I'm just going to watch something that's on Netflix.
Yeah, me too. And there's been some pretty cool stuff on there lately. Like, have you seen Bird Box yet, or the new Black Mirror
Yes.
movie?
Yeah, so the Bandersnatch showed up a couple of days ago, but I haven't had a chance to watch it.
It's
And I
cool.
is it scary?
It's not that it's scary, in true Black Mirror fashion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about messing with your head.
Yeah, and it
And
leaves you a little weird at the end.
I think what Netflix has found is they get a lot of success when they talk about 80s things, like, you know,
Yeah.
how
Retro.
Stranger Things is
Yeah.
retro and it's got that cool music. I swear they like probably got the same composer for Bandersnatch because it's all that really awesome 80s music.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you can actually
He's
even pick which music he listens to in his Walkman.
Really?
So yeah,
That's
it's pretty
cool.
fun. I think you're gonna enjoy it, but maybe not something for your kids.
So that's interesting because I read an article maybe 6 months ago when they were talking about having interactive programming on Netflix. And they actually mentioned Black Mirror was going to be the first experiment for adults. Apparently, they've had this interactive streaming TV for kids for a while now, which I didn't know. And my kids haven't told me about like choose your own adventure style stuff. But that's pretty neat that you can choose the soundtrack for the show. And
It's pretty cool.
yeah.
It kept I kept picking forks that it took me back, and it was like, well, you're kind of at the end now, so we're gonna just put you back here at this part, you know?
Oh, so like how long did it take you to get through it?
You know, I was in the airport coming back from Christmas, and I did it for maybe 50 minutes and wasn't really getting anywhere in the story because I kept picking the wrong thing. But it was fun to see all the different possibilities, and you know, I'll definitely jump back on it. I'm not sure though if you can use it with the NVIDIA Shield or the Roku. I was on my phone, so there was, you know, buttons that popped up that I
Yeah,
could touch, and so I'm not sure how you can watch Bandersnatch on Roku.
I'm gonna try it. Doesn't Roku, it's got like a little circular functionality where you can go up, down, left, right, and
Yeah,
select, right?
yeah, I don't see why
So
not.
you should be able to, as soon as it comes up, you should be able to move that way. The NVIDIA Shield's got a very similar thing, and a lot of these Android boxes have like air mice
Oh
where they
yeah.
have gyroscopes inside, and so it basically moves a little arrow around like an air mouse. So, um, yeah, I might actually just try it on the NVIDIA Shield. The problem is it might scare my children, eh?
Yeah, it is kind of a scary one. I wanted to talk about the Amazon recast. It actually just came out in November. It's pretty cool because it allows you to record like DVR stuff over the air.
Oh
And
yeah.
so this is for people that you know, don't have cable, they've cut it and they live in a big city. And so I'm not sure what it's like up in Canada, but in 2009 here, the FCC said that all of the TV stations had to stop being analog and they had to switch over to be digital.
Yes, yeah, same here.
And
Yep.
so the cool thing is you can get Fox, you can get ABC, CBS, even PBS, all these channels, Telemundo if you're into Spanish, all of them in 1080p. And it's not the interlaced version where it's half the compression quality, it is full 1080p. So it's
Nice.
actually sharper than it would be if you got a cable package. And kind of the cool thing about it is Amazon saw the need for all these cable cutters, all these millennials that aren't getting cable anymore. And they said, look, you can go ahead and now record up to two shows at the same time, and there's a 500 gigabyte version and a terabyte version, which I think would be really cool to do.
Wow. So is it a service that you subscribe to,
Not
like
at all.
Netflix?
And
No, it's
that's the
free?
best part. It's free. The box itself connects to a TV antenna, and it might even have an antenna inside of it if
Right.
you don't have enough money to go up to your attic and put your own antenna in. But
Yep.
then what you can do is it has the option where you can record anything. And I think there is a subscription if you want to know what the programs are called. So I think it's a pretty small prescription a month if you want a TV guide to it.
Yeah.
But apparently you can just say record channel 2 at 8 o'clock, and you don't have to pay for the subscription.
That's
So
sweet.
this could be a really great way if you like to watch, basketball games or any kind of a sports game,
Yeah.
and you don't want to pay, for ESPN and stuff. This could be your local way of getting your local sports. And there's other stuff that comes on those main, Fox, NBC, CBS, all of those. There's lots of shows that just aren't on Netflix. And for a $200 one-time payment, I think that's a pretty good idea.
I think that is pretty sweet, because it gives you all your local content. That's kind of the biggest thing that you miss when you cut the cable, is you miss your local news, you miss your local information, your local weather. Of course, you got that on your phone, and so I haven't really missed it, but that would be nice to get. The other thing I really miss is sports. So I guarantee you that in Los Angeles, you've probably got some free over-the-air digital sports
Oh
channels,
yeah, or at
especially the
least
local.
yeah, the local
Yeah.
channels will air local sports games for sure.
So, I mean, that's kind of nice. I do know that Android TV has a bunch of apps where you can plug in your over-the-air receiver and you can record. And I believe Plex has a lot to do with that too. So it's interesting to see that Amazon's jumped into it and they said, hey, buy this piece of hardware and it's already set up. And it's basically a DVR. So go ahead and record. That's pretty cool.
Now, you were talking a little bit about Android TV. I honestly hadn't heard of it. I don't know anybody with it. Most of my friends have either an Apple TV or a Roku.
Yeah.
Who's got this Amazon or the Android TV?
So that's what's interesting. There's tens of millions. So I don't know if they have an exact number out there of people who use Android TV. So I do. So the NVIDIA Shield is an Android TV. And before Santa Claus brought us the NVIDIA Shield, we had a Minix, which was that one I mentioned
The one
earlier,
out of China, right?
one out of China. There's actually quite a few that come out of China. So Android TV came out, I believe it came after Apple TV, so it was kind of Android's answer to the TV box. And because it was so easy to put Kodi on it, it kind of took over the torrent space and created live streaming, or at least brought live streaming to the mainstream. So before that, I don't know if you remember, Dan, back in our pirate days, yahar, where
Are
you
you
know
selling me out? I never pirate anything.
never, no, LimeWire never
Never.
existed, or whatever that donkey one was, or like when BitTorrent first came out, it was mostly music that it started with, but then it got into movies, and a lot of those movies back in the day, you would download it and then watch it on your computer, or you and we used to put it over to our TVs with like wires, right? So
Right.
yeah, either through coax or later on HDMI when those came out. So
And I just want to point out here, we were really cool in high school.
yeah, we had all the friends,
All the friends.
all the lady friends was so excited to see how our
Oh, you know how to
homemade
do a
computers
coax?
were hooked up to our televisions. So anyways, these TV boxes have taken over, and it's because you can stream instead of downloading. So that's kind of the biggest risk to torrenting, especially in the United States, where they can charge you each time you've uploaded. So if
Hmm.
you've shared it with 1,000 people, I believe, and we may have some listeners correct me, I believe that every time somebody uses you to download even a piece of the movie or TV show, that's an offense you can be charged with. And that's why some people have been hit with hundreds of thousands of dollars of fines.
I declare
Yeah.
bankruptcy.
Whereas Canada would consider all 1,000 of them downloading, say, Popeye's greatest hits.
Mhm.
They would consider that one offense, whereas in the United States, that would be thousands.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, before we move on, I want to show you a really cool Christmas gift that I got.
Okay. So
Okay.
those of us who are listening, I will describe it when I see it. I haven't seen this yet. So Dan's
What
really
does it
excited.
look like? It's a white box.
It's a white Hewlett Packard box.
It is called the Sprocket.
It's a sprocket,
It
like
is a
from
sprocket.
Jetsons. Did
Yeah,
did
I
George
guess so.
Jetson make it for you?
Now, the cool thing about it here is it's actually a Bluetooth printer that's wireless.
What? It's a Bluetooth
Yeah,
printer? You
and it's
can't
kind of
fit.
fun. It's a lot like a Polaroid picture. So you take
Uh,
a selfie and it pops out a color Polaroid picture, which is kind of fun.
so Dan just showed us a little picture that he pulled out of it. So it's a photo printer. Like you
Yeah.
can't print an 8.5 by 11 sheet out of it.
No.
But does it have its own battery? Like, can you just
Yeah.
walk around and
Yep.
you'd be like at a party? It's like, what's up? Oh,
Exactly. That's what I was doing at the New Year's Eve party last night.
you're like,
So
hey,
the
party
cool thing,
time.
party time. The cool thing about it is it's actually a sticker, so you can rip off the back of the photo and then stick it to
Oh,
things. Yeah.
like people's backs.
People's backs or on a fridge. I mean, the
That's
possibilities are
awesome.
endless.
Possibilities are endless. That is
But
so
it's about the size of like a battery for your phone, an external battery.
yeah.
But instead it just pops out pictures.
So
So
I got questions.
yeah.
First of all, who got you this magical device? Was
Mom
it
and dad. I
mom
mean,
and dad? That's awesome.
I
Awesome.
think they were shopping
Okay.
at Costco and they were like, "Wait, Dan would really
They
like
love
this."
this.
And
Yeah, they
that's
nailed it.
they
And then, okay, next question.
uh
How long's the battery last?
all night. Yeah, it still
All
has
night long. All
3 out of
night.
3 bars. But this
Nice.
is new, so I don't know. I mean, if you're printing off things all day long,
Yeah.
maybe the battery would wear out.
Okay, next question. Ink. Like, do you
Yeah.
buy cartridges? What do you do?
Yeah, you buy cartridges, you can get them on Amazon for pretty cheap. Mine came with 60 little pictures that you can print off, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think the ink is in the picture, kind of like a Polaroid picture, so I don't think you have to worry
Ooh,
about the printer running out of
it's
ink per se.
film.
It's the film, yeah.
Yeah, or
And
whatever.
it's
Yeah.
actually pretty good quality. I'm looking at it right now, and it's got a little app where you can add, Happy New Year 2019 to your pictures and whatever else you want to do.
That's awesome.
Fun, right?
Yeah, now I'm gonna tell you something I shouldn't. It's a confessional here. Here we are. Tech Time Confessionals. That should be a side podcast. So I was throwing this dance, and we had like 600 people coming, and we wanted.
Back in your LimeWire days when you
No, no,
were
no. This is just like 3 years ago, and so we wanted to do like a photo booth where people could walk away with their pictures, kind of like the Polaroid idea, but we didn't want to go get a Polaroid camera. So I went to Costco and I bought like a really fancy, nice picture printer.
oh,
And I even told them, I said, I'm bringing this back tomorrow.
what did they say?
They said, okay. Costco's the best. I said, literally, I'm bringing this back tomorrow. I'm using it for a party. I wanted you to know that so that I could feel good about what
So
I'm
that my
about to do.
conscience feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just bought extra film, like it always, or not film, but sheets, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And it came with stuff like that, but of course I wasn't going to use it and return that. That would just be extra wrong. So yeah, I just went and bought extra sheets, like pictures, film stuff for it, and then returned the whole printer back.
And they took it back?
Yeah, of course. And
Okay.
they said, "Is there anything wrong with this?" And of course, it was somebody different I was talking to than when I bought it, and I was like, "Absolutely not. It was great. I loved it. I just don't need it anymore." They're like, "Okay."
Well, I have a couple things to say. First of all, Costco does have the best return
Yeah,
policy.
they do.
Did you know that my big 50-inch TV that I have actually was a free return?
Oh,
So I don't know if
really?
I've told this story on our
No.
podcast before, but a friend of mine, back when projectors were big, back in the early 2000s, bought a projector and really enjoyed it and had us all over, and we enjoyed the projection on the wall and stuff. And then about a year later, that's when the flat screen TV started getting popular.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so he himself and he was like, why did I buy this projector when I can get one of those cool flat screen TVs? So over a year later, he went back to Costco with his projector and said, "Oh, I was just wondering if I can return this." And the girl at the desk, caught eyes with him, and they started,
Winking like,
flirting,
oh,
a little bit.
what's
And
up?
she said, "Yeah, absolutely." Over a year old, used several times. She took the projector back, gave him
Yes.
back the $1,000, and he bought the TV. And then years later, when 3D TVs came out, he turned
He
around and
he
said, "You know
did it
what, me and
again?
my family, we can't use this anymore. You should just take this for free because I shouldn't even have this." So now I have free TV from a Costco return.
That's awesome. Woo, woo,
Ooh, ooh, ooh. One other thing I can tell you about returns that's kind of funny is
Yeah.
it's really just a Western world kind of a thing. I don't know if you know this, but one time when I was in Shenzhen, in China, I went to this hardware store to get, like a plug for my iPhone.
Yeah.
And when I went back, I tried to plug it in. There was something wrong with it, or I didn't like it. So I walked back to the store. I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to return this." And he said, "You know, you're not in the United States anymore, right? We don't do that." So he wouldn't return it.
What?
At like a Radio Shack over there. That's not the name of the store, but
Yeah.
it's really a Western
The
thing,
source.
returning things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too bad. You know we don't do that, you cheapskate.
So I'm pretty sure if you were in China or anywhere that's not in the Western world, you wouldn't have been able to get away
Yeah.
with that part with the pictures.
That's true. Yeah. So all of you who can, Costco hacks.
Costco hacks
Well,
and
it was
Walmart hacks.
and Walmart hacks. That's right.
It-
So we really should get to the tech news because
Yeah.
the first thing I wanted to talk about, which was actually pretty cool. By the way, Dan, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
So those of our listeners who will be listening to this years in the future, it is now January 1st, 2019. So that's exciting. And guess what was exciting that happened today in the tech news?
I don't know. Tell me.
NASA. So,
Oh, yes, it's passing that far off asteroid, right?
yeah, actually, it's a dwarf planet. So, New Horizons is the name of this NASA spacecraft, and it actually launched in 2008. So, it's been going for about 11 years, just a little over 10. So, barely hit the 11-year mark, and it's flown 1 billion miles past Pluto.
Wow.
So its goal this time, and it's still going past it, so it's going even further now, was to investigate Ultima Thule. So have you heard of Ultima Thule?
Yeah, I think that means like the end of the universe or something. I read something about what a Thule is. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually comes from medieval theology and writings. And let's see, I wrote it down here. In medieval literature, it was the most distant, northernmost place beyond the known world.
The Thule.
The Thule. Now, I'm not sure when scientists discovered Ultimate Thule, but I don't think it's been very long. And it's a dwarf planet. So, you know how Pluto's no longer a planet? It got
Right.
demoted to dwarf planet. Ultima Thule is even smaller than Pluto. It's only about 32 kilometers wide. So, think about if you could run on it, it's kind of like Super Mario Galaxy, if you ever played that one for the
Of course.
original Wii, and you run around it, like it would probably take you, I don't know, like a day to run all the way around it, but you could. Like 32 kilometers is absolutely doable.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, so it's 32 kilometers long. It's shaped like a potato. So
Okay.
it's got like they think it's either two objects, but most likely one that's got like a little narrow neck in between the two
What if
circles.
it's a
So
spacecraft? What if it is a spacecraft?
well, they just flew by it and they were taking all kinds of pictures of it.
But
And
here's the thing. I didn't see any of the pictures. I went on all of the tech sites to see if I could find what it looked like,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
nothing was posted
Not yet. So it takes 10
because it's a
hours
spacecraft.
to get all the stuff. Yeah, it is. Let me just see how far away it is. It is 6.5 billion kilometers
Can't
away
even
from the Earth,
wrap I can't wrap my
right?
mind around
It
that.
it's astounding that we get information 10 hours later.